The sudden war in Israel shocked and confused the world, leaving a lot of people questioning how the conflict escalated so drastically overnight.
But truly, understanding the conflict that is happening in Israel requires a backtrack over generations. NBC's Gotti Schwartz has a look at the troubling history that may explain how we got to this point.
As we look towards an uncertain future, it is impossible to know where things are headed without looking back at the past. And for the Gaza Strip, conflict is ingrained in its history, going back generations beyond the days of the Ottoman Empire to British rule from 1918 to Egypt in 1948. And remember that year, because around that same time as Gaza came under Egyptian rule, Israel was proclaiming statehood. And for 20 years, tension grew until an all-out war broke between Israel and its Arab neighbors. After the Six-Day War in 1967, Gaza was seized by Israel. And then there is the odd case of violent history repeating itself almost 50 days to the day from this weekend's surprise attack. Invading forces from Egypt and Syria caught Israel off guard in what's known as the Yom Kippur War. Meanwhile, in Gaza, outrage over Israeli occupation grew, and the first intifada, meaning rebellion, began, followed by the second after a breakdown in talks for peace. Hamas, a Palestinian militant group, came to Gaza in 2006. That's when they came into power in the last election there to date. And although Israel seemingly gave up control of the Gaza Strip in 2007 internally, it instituted a land and sea blockade of that small strip the size of Washington, D.C., arguing it was protecting the Israeli state. Now, a year later, intense fighting broke out once again. And since then, Gaza's unemployment rate is now among the highest in the world. Around 95% of the population does not have access to clean water. Electricity is limited. Food is often scarce. And the UN estimates that 80% of the population must rely on international aid to survive. Options to leave are also nearly impossible for those who live there. And nearly half of the people who live in Gaza are children.